There are 4 vital elements needed for life. Number 1 is oxygen, number 2 is water, number 3 is sodium, and number 4 is potassium. The last 3 we're going to be looking at later in our series, but today I want to look at oxygen. Let's have a look at the effect of oxygen in the human body. The most powerful way to oxygenate the body is exercise. Such an important subject that I'm going to devote another lecture to exercise. But today I want to look at all the other things that influence oxygen going into our body. First of all, let's make a list of the effects of oxygen on the body. Oxygen vitalizes. Oxygen invigorates. And you can see why when you have a look at these pathways. An incredible difference oxygen makes. Oxygen electrifies. That's how you're going to feel when every cell in your body is running on oxygen. Oxygen does something else too. Oxygen soothes the nerves. And we need nerve soothers. And there is a name given for lack of oxygen in the body. It's called chronic fatigue syndrome. Chronic fatigue syndrome has one cause, and that is lack of oxygen. Now, there may be 100 causes for that lack of oxygen, and some of those we're going to have a look at today. So this is what oxygen does, and you can see why when you look at the energy cycles in the cell. 36 units of energy. But what are the symptoms of lack of oxygen? Medicine calls it hypoxia. Hypoxia basically means lack of oxygen. Fatigue. The person feels like they've climbed a mountain and all they've done is got out of bed. Lethargy, can't even get out of bed. Nausea, not the only cause of nausea, but it is one of the symptoms of hypoxia. Headache. Not the only causes of a headache, but it is one of the symptoms of hypoxia. The most severe signs of hypoxia are blue top lip, blue fingertip. You see, when blood goes through the lungs, it picks up oxygen like a little parcel, and it gives the blood a bright red colour. So when the person's lacking oxygen, their blood has actually a bluish colour. That's the blue top lip, that's the blue fingertips. How many people, when you ask them today, how are you? How many say, all right, not too bad? What does not too bad mean? Not too good? How many people, when you ask them, how are you, say, fantastic? You'd almost go, what's the matter with him? Sunshine is law number 2. The sun is not the enemy in the sky. It is the doctor in the sky. And yet how often is it hailed as the enemy? The reason why the sun is so important is because ultraviolet rays from the sun hit the skin and convert a form of cholesterol just under the skin to vitamin D. And vitamin D is being hailed today as the anti-cancer vitamin because of its ability not only to stop cancer cells running, but even convert them back to a normal running cell. That's quite amazing, isn't it? You see, vitamin D not only is hailed as the anti-cancer vitamin, but it is essential for the assimilation of calcium in the body. And calcium has a nickname. He's called the king because when calcium gets in, all the other minerals are able to get into the cell. And the largest concentration of calcium is found in the bones. We've virtually got 2 epidemics today. We've got many epidemics, but 2 I want to speak about now. One is a vitamin D deficiency. And this is in the land of the sun. And the reason there's so much vitamin D deficiency is number 1, people are not getting the sun exposure. And when people put sunscreens on, That stops, yes, the burning rays, but the burning rays are the healing rays. Michael and I had a holiday a few weeks ago in Fiji. We were the only people laying by the pool that weren't covered in sunscreens, and we didn't get burnt. And by the way, we noted some very burnt bodies. Why didn't we get burnt? Because we would lay in the sun on our back for 15 minutes, on our front for 15 minutes, have a swim, dry off, go back to our room. We did that morning and night, and we came back with quite a nice tan, no sunburn. It's just using your common sense. My daughter in America has 5 children. She never puts sunscreen on them, and by the end of summer, they are golden brown. One of the big contributing factors to skin cancer today is vitamin D deficiency. Research is showing that vitamin D deficiency is contributing to skin cancer. We don't need much sun exposure to get all the vitamin D that we need, but you will not get vitamin D unless your skin has no creams and potions on it at all. But by the way, if you have a shower and wash yourself with soap and then lay in the sun, you will get no vitamin D. There must be that light film of natural oil. And if you lay in the sun and then go and have a shower and wash yourself with soap, washing off all those oils, you will not get vitamin D. It takes approximately 2 hours after sun exposure for the vitamin D to be developed in your skin. Your vitamin D is stored in your kidney, and then as it is needed, it's taken over to the liver, which releases the vitamin D. Calcium is stored in the bones, so this is our second epidemic that I'm mentioning in this presentation, which is osteoporosis, brittle bones. Lack of calcium is the lack of calcium because of the lack of vitamin D. You can have calcium in your food, and yet if you're not getting adequate vitamin D, you cannot access that calcium. So it's very important to get the sunshine so that we've got nice, strong bones. Our eyes need sun. We have a book in our library called Better Eyesight Without Glasses by Dr. William Bates. Every library should have this book. It shows you how you can do some simple little exercises to prevent deterioration of eyesight. He actually says in his book that the eyes can't get enough sun treatment. He says if you go out into the sun and you've been in a dark room and it's a little bit glary, he says close your eyes and then tip your head up to the sun and just stay like that for a few minutes and put your head down and open your eyes, and your eyes will be used to the sun. So let me very quickly say in the next breath, you can overdo the sun. Absolutely. And Aussies have been guilty of that over the years. When you overdo the sun, you know it, because it's very painful. You've burnt the skin. That's what damages the skin. Short bursts of sunshine do not damage the skin. In fact, the body deteriorates when it's not getting those short bursts of sunshine, because then it is not getting the vitamin D. There's a balance in the middle. The sun is not the enemy in the sky. It can be overdone. But now, Aussies are underdoing it. So we need that little bit of sun. It was estimated in 1890 that 90% of children living in North London were suffering from rickets. Again, a vitamin D deficiency. Your eyes need sun. About 10 years ago, a group of scientists discovered a receptor site on the eye, on the retina. It was called melanopsin. They gave it the name melanopsin. And melanopsin is an absorber of blue light. And the highest source of blue light is the sunlight. And they found when brains had adequate amount of melanopsin, they were able to solve mathematical problems easier. Their tactical reasoning increased, all because of the eye's exposure to the sun. Melanopsin is not involved in sight, and yet it's a receptor site on the retina. You see, our eyes are an extension of our brain. And our brain needs sun. And our brain gets the sun through our eyes. Circadian rhythm. What's circadian rhythm? Circade is Latin for a round day. So the circadian rhythm basically is the rhythm of balance in the brain. And it is the night and dark signals that actually bring that balance. And he found 80% of them, their circadian rhythm was out. And his advice to reset the circadian rhythm was to allow the eyes to be exposed to 1 hour of early morning light. He said there is something in that early morning light that when our eyes are exposed to it, it resets the circadian rhythm. Now, doesn't God paint a magnificent picture morning and night? It's almost as if he's done something so that our eyes are drawn to the sun rises and the sun sets. And science now proves the value of this, the value of allowing your eyes to observe the early morning. And the early morning light is the most powerful. A little bit also happens in the setting sun. He said that early morning exposure of the eyes resets the circadian rhythm in the brain. Light and dark signals are fed through the optic nerve to a control centre in the brain where our body clock is located, and our body clock communicates with the pineal gland. And the pineal gland, it helps us sleep at night. The pineal gland releases a hormone called serotonin, and that's why on a sunny day we feel so good, because our pineal gland is being activated by the sun's rays going through the eyes and making us feel better. So as you can see by my illustration, we need sun. Our brain needs sun, our eyes need sun, our bones need sun, our skin needs sun. And our bones get our vitamin D from the sun through the skin, and our brain gets the ultraviolet rays through the eyes. So all are important. So the next question I'm often asked is, what about sunglasses? Well, I never say never to sunglasses. If I was going to be snow skiing and we've got white powder, blue sky, strong sun, I'd wear sunglasses because the eyes can burn. And if I was driving in the city with the glare of the other cars, the glare of the cement buildings, I may consider wearing sunglasses. But as a rule, we should not wear sunglasses. If we go out into a very hot sunny day, our eyes are assessing the strength of the sun, the heat of the sun, and it gives a message to our brain. And our brain then shuts up little receptor sites on our skin to prevent us burning too badly. Obviously, overexposure to the sun, nothing's going to prevent burning. But if we go out into the sun and we have sunglasses on, can you see messages are not getting to the brain because of the sunglasses? So a person can burn a lot easier if they've got sunglasses on. And people don't realise that it is connected to the brain, and the brain gets many substances, messages, and absolutely ultraviolet rays are important for proper brain function, and they come in through the eyes. That's why if you wear glasses, you should spend some time every day not wearing your glasses. But just being outside, the ultraviolet rays from the sun are going in through the eyes and giving messages of many sorts to the brain. When you get those messages through the eyes to the brain, you sleep better at night. Not only do you sleep better at night, but you also have better brain function in many areas, as I have just touched. But very important that the eyes have rest. When do the eyes rest? Well, in our next lecture, I'm going to show you that the eyes must rest between certain hours in the night. We've got daylight saving at the moment, so those hours are between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. every night. One of the many reasons eyes are deteriorating today is because they're not getting the proper rest. We need to be closing our eyes and going to sleep every night. And there is a price to pay for our eyes experiencing flashing lights, moving things at a time when they should be sleeping. So let's make a list here of the essentials. Number 1 is pure air, sunshine. We've got that. Not taking anything into the body that will harm it. We'll be looking at our next lecture. Rest. And not only do our eyes need rest at night between the hours at the moment of 10 p.m. and 3 a.m., but your eyes also need rest through the day by alternating looking at small screens and writing and printing, and alternating looking at the mountains. And by the way, if we had a choice of which we would spend more time on, obviously it would be the mountains, gazing out and looking at that. And what that does is that gives the muscle balance in your eyes, it gives them the proper balance. Also, water is necessary for proper eye, for proper bone, and for proper brain function. At least 2 litres a day. And number 3, exercise. These things are not often addressed, are they, when looking at proper eye function? Exercise, in-body exercise. And the reason why body exercise is important, that means the whole body exercising, is because it increases the circulation of the blood everywhere in the body, and particularly now we're looking at eyes and brain. And that increases blood supply to the eyes. But also, we need to specify eye exercises in the ones that I just mentioned to you. So they are vital for the proper functioning of the eyes, and this whole lecture is about sun exposure. One man told me that his specialist told him to keep his eyes out of the sun. It's a pity that people have overdone the sun and given the sun a bad name, but the sun, as you can see by what you've heard this morning, is actually the doctor in the sky. Your eyes need it, your brains need it, brain needs it, your skin needs it, and your eyes need sunshine. The other thing that eyes need, and brain needs, and skin needs, is nutrition. Every cell in the body has these cycles running through it. The only cell in the body that does not have those energy cycles running through it is the red blood cell. And the red blood cell doesn't have a nucleus. The red blood cell is made in your bones. The blood is often called the river of life. The Bible calls the blood the life of the flesh, because every part of your body is only alive because of blood going through it. And the reason it's called the life is because it carries the oxygen, and as you can see, the cells cannot run effectively without oxygen. It carries the nutrition, it carries the white blood cells, and as it goes out of that area, it takes the waste away with it. So the blood is important because it's the carrier of this. So what's proper nutrition? We'll be looking at this in a little bit more detail, but we touched on it yesterday. High fibre. And the highest fibre foods are your vegetables, and your vegetables contain the minerals. And the minerals basically are the glue that glues us together. They're your healers. High fibre, great proteins. And yesterday we defined the proteins in the vegetarian protein. We looked at Genesis 1:29, where God says, "Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed." We looked at legume, we looked at grain, and we looked at the seed, and we also looked at the nut. The last part of that verse, God says, "The seed, to you it shall be for meat." In other words, the seed is like the chicken's egg. It contains all the nutrients required for the running and the healing of the body, and healthy fats. And this afternoon we're going to be defining the healthy fats. There are fats that harm and there are fats that kill. And because there are killer fats, fats have got a bad name. And because the sun can burn, the sun has got a bad name. So what we need to look at here is a balance. So the nutrition is vital. The healthy fats are vital. So you've got nice amounts of cholesterol just under the skin so that the vitamin D can be made. The protein is important because our eye cells, as I mentioned the other day, are constantly being remade. In fact, every 1 to 2 days, new eye cells are made. But they have to have the nutrition to be able to be made effectively. And the new eye cells are built up by amino acids. And the amino acids comes from the protein that we eat. These are the nutrients required for proper skin function, proper bones function, proper eye function, and proper brain function. This is an amazing body with an amazing ability to heal itself, and it will heal itself if you give it the right conditions. And the aim of this group of lectures is to give you the information that you need to give the body so that our eyes see better, our brain works better, our pancreas works better, our liver works better, our lungs, our skin, every part of our body.